Good evening and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this evening. There's quite a bit of Celtic chat going around tonight and some interesting one. We're going to start off with Mark Fotheringham because Fozzie, as the manager calls him, he's been brought to Celtic under Martin O'Neill, but he's been linked with the coach's job, the manager's job at Norwich City. 42-year-old is on the... It's mad. It's absolutely mad. Norwich are looking for a new manager after they got beaten by Leicester City at the weekend. Mark Fotheringham is under consideration for the Norwich City job after Liam Manning got sacked. Captain Mannering got sacked. Martin O'Neill's described him as invaluable to him. And when you look at, from a Celtic perspective, when you look at the way that he reacted to the defeat in Midtjylland in Denmark in the Europa, when you look at the reaction of him then, you know, he's telling Martin that there's fucking guys at Celtic that just aren't trying their hard enough. He's a player that has had an interesting career. He's been on, it's something that we've never really looked at. He's been on the coaching staff at Fulham, Cowdenbeath, Hertha Berlin and Swansea City. He also had a stint with Jurgen Klinsmann, which is absolutely bonkers. It is absolutely bonkers. And you never think that someone like... I mean, when you think about it, Fozzie's actually got more experience than Scott Brown at his managerial level. And that's bonkers to think about. Because there's obviously a clamber of Celtic fans that would say, get Scott Brown in as manager. But you would never say, get Mark Fotheringham in as manager due to his inexperience. But he's got a lot of experience as a coach. Hence the reason that he did captain Norwich, and they're thinking about bringing him back as a manager. What a turnaround it would be for Fozzie, who I think he was sacked by his last job, to be out of work, to take the call to come to Celtic. Thank you, hand of God. To get the call to come to Celtic, comes up to Celtic, gets us back on track, and then goes and takes the Norwich City job. Should Celtic put pressure on, well, not pressure on him, but should Celtic make him an offer? Now, it all depends what the new manager wants. Obviously, the new manager may want to say, well, no, I want to bring in my own staff. But Celtic could go, look, we've just brought in these guys and they've managed to sustain the club in quite a good piece of form. They play an attacking type of football that you might actually like. And, should Celtic push to keep Mark Fotheringham at the club is the poll question. So make sure that you jump onto the poll. And wow, straight off the bat, 50 votes in straight away are saying 94% are saying yes, keep him at the club. 6% are saying no, don't keep him at the club. Let's jump into the comment section before we go any further with this one, to see what some people are saying. Tell me your thoughts on keeping Fozzie at the club. If you're a big no, tell me why. Tell me, sweet little why. Tell me why. The appointment of Nancy would be a great appeal to me. Wouldn't be a greatly appeal to me, says Paul. It's due to his Tisdale links. I don't think it's just due to his Tisdale links. I mean, when you look at the stats of what he's done in North America, and not just the Tisdale links, but when you look at he was assistant manager to Thierry Henry before he got the job as manager. When Thierry Henry left the club, they promoted him within. A bit like Neil Lennon got promoted from within the club to become Celtic manager. He was promoted after being assistant manager to Thierry Henry. I'm not saying that's a great thing, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what it does do is it means that he's got an awful lot of contacts within the European context. And we spoke about this last night, on the live last night, and I told you my feelings on it. I thought he was someone that he was heading to the front of the queue last night. There's a lot of media this afternoon and this evening jumping on saying that, yeah, this guy is in a good position. And at that point, I knew nothing of his links to Tisdale. This time last night, I knew absolutely nothing that he knew Paul Tisdale or that there was any links with that concern, and didn't even cross my mind that the two of them might know each other. For me, it doesn't matter. For me, the fact that he's won in Canada, he's won in the United States. He got the team to the later stages of the Champions League in North America. We spoke about it last night. I think that it's an appointment. He plays a fantastic formation, a formation that teams in Europe would struggle against. I mean, a 3-4-2-1 formation. And you're thinking, what the fuck? 3 centre-backs. Push your 2 full-backs forwards slightly. Have 2 midfielders. And have a further 2 wingers. And a striker. Could mean that Celtic get rid of a few midfielders, because we do have too many midfielders, I think, at the club that just aren't pulling their weight. Rio Hatate being one of them. But anyway, that's a chat for another day, as things just fell off the window. I need to sort that for the morning. Anyway, we move on from that. There's a lot of people talking about it, and people talking about, I mean, we spoke about it last night. Knudsen is in the Champions League with Bodo Glimt. He said that this weekend, he said, look, if I'm going to leave Bodo Glimt, it's going to be for something bigger. He's not going to leave the Champions League run that they've got. They've still got to play Juventus, Borussia Dortmund, Man City, Atletico Madrid. He's not leaving Bodo Glimt to come to Celtic to play in the Europa. Let's face facts. He may come after the Champions League run is over, but that takes us into January, and that's not an option for Celtic. We need a manager in now, and this is why the Wilfried Nancy one comes to fruition, because he's available within the next 2 weeks. Their season is over in America. He's available. He can come in. He can get a good look at the team between now and the next transfer window. He can identify players that he wants in. Celtic will have identified players already, but he can identify. He may know of players that fit the way that he wants to play football, a bit like Ange Postecoglou when he came in. You know, he brought in players from another part of the world, and every single person wasn't too sure about all these names coming in from Japan. Let's face it. You know, Celtic fans weren't convinced at the start when Ange Postecoglou came in. It took a good couple of games for Ange to sort of... In fact, it took longer than that. It took around about quarter of a season before it kind of settled with Ange, because there was a lot of fans at the beginning of the season who were still not convinced with Ange Postecoglou. Let's face it. And some of the players that he brought in, and all the injuries we were getting at the time also, all the hamstring injuries. So I'm just saying, you know, we spoke about it last night. I think that you can understand why he's jumped to the top of the queue. When you look at the guy down at Ipswich, he is going to cost £5 million. When you look at that, it's very unlikely that Celtic, if they have a chance, if they have a choice of 2 managers, they are not going to pump out £5 million to get the guy down the road. They're more likely to take a punt on a manager who they can negotiate out a contract a lot cheaper than £5 million. And that's the reality of Celtic that we all know. who has pals that are St Mirren fans that can get us 20 years, they're given 20 seasons. Yeah, I know, I've seen that. This is crazy. And Michelle, I've got someone who might be able to get you a ticket. Seriously. I know someone that might. I think he's maybe still in Spain at the moment. No, I think he should be home. I'll give him a text. I will give him a text. It's funny because him and his dad are St Mirren and the rest of his family are Celtic fans. That's all I'm saying. And he's quite well known. But anyway, yeah, it's a weird situation that, I mean, we're getting way off track here, but St Mirren have launched their ticket push for the final at Hampden in December, and they're giving each season ticket holder the option to buy 20 tickets. That's a farce. And this is what gets me about Scottish football. Scottish football is all about, when you get to a final, it's all about people that go to the games. You know, yes, it's a family day out and all the rest of it, but for really 20 tickets? Is that not a bit OTT? I just think it's fucking bonkers. That's all we need is Poosie and a Nancy at the club. We need strong physical players. Wait till you see the football this guy plays. A lot better than a certain manager that has just left. Mark Fotheringham should only be kept if the incoming manager wants him. That's it. Big Rab's always in. He's very frustrated, Big Rab. He always comes across very angry with his comments. Every night, he just feels like he's in a constant rage. Oh dear. Russell Martin's been linked with the Norwich gig as well. Jesus God. Well, they're definitely going to go for Fozzie then, aren't they? Definitely going to go with Fozzie rather than Russell Martin. I would anyway. Let management pick his own coaches. You can't have another tracksuit mannequin like Kennedy. I just think that Fozzie's got more. Here's the thing. John Kennedy's only got experience at Celtic and the managers that he's worked with at Celtic. But Fozzie's got experience of working with a German legend. A German legend. Just saying. I'm just saying. But yeah, I'm totally agree for it. We need the change. But I mean, you would also want the manager that comes in may want to have some backroom staff that know what Celtic are about. Do you know? And it would save us. I mean, who would he trust? The club are always going to have people within the club that any manager that comes in. Do you know? It happens at every club. You have someone in the background. I mean, look at Alex Ferguson had fucking Brian McClare at Manchester United hanging about the back room of the first team training squad for years because he knew that Brian McClare he knew what it meant to play for Man United. Sometimes you need players like that because if we're just going to go down the road of having a wholesale change and bringing in new people, when that manager goes 2 or 3 years' time, do you know, we're starting from scratch again. And then we're not building. If we're talking about a 3 to 5 year plan, you know, you still have to have some continuity within the club. You know, we can't just chuck them out. I think it would be an interesting, because especially since, and this is why I'm thinking keep Fozzie, and I didn't talk about Sean Maloney, because Sean Maloney has already said publicly that he's looking forward to going back to his old job. He knows that he's not going to be in and around the staff. That's why I think if it's true that Mark Fotheringham does have the chance to be Norwich manager, should he take it? Fair play to him. Do you know, he's getting to manage a club that he captained. But should Celtic also be offering him something just to retain that little bit of Celtic men identity? Because if we lose it all together, and you don't have to look far in football in Scotland to see how quick fans turn on management and staff if they're not really got a good connection to the club. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Well done, Martin. Now let's get the permanent manager in. See how this one plays out. And make sure that you tune in tomorrow morning. I'm going to get this announcement out of the way because I've got an exclusive about Jota. That's all that I'm saying. There is an exclusive about Jota coming up tomorrow morning. It's not a big exclusive. I mean, it's nothing that's going to tell us when he's back or anything, but there is some exclusive new footage that isn't doing the rounds on the internet yet because I got sent it today. Around about an hour and a half ago, actually. And it'll make you wonder what Jota's been up to. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and you check out the live tomorrow morning. That's all I'm saying about that. Anyway, we move on. I'm just jumping through the comments. Knudsen is now in pole position to take over at Ajax. That's over now. I don't think that he's going to go to Ajax. So was that other guy. I mean, if he's already come out and said, but then again, Ajax, Celtic, he's came out in public and said it would have to be something better than Bodo Glimt. And let's face it, Ajax has got a good academy. It's been known for having a fantastic academy. If you're Knudsen and you like to bring through younger players, do you join Celtic that has a non-existent academy, or do you join Ajax where they've got nice stadium, nice city and a good academy? Interesting. William says he's not impressed by Nancy, and Nancy gets the job. Just the cheapest option for this useless, inept board. I don't think it's the cheapest option. Not at all. I think when you look at what he's done, I mean, people would say that it's the same. I'm sorry, but the same was said about Ange Postecoglou when Ange wasn't the first choice. He was fucking, he was fifth choice or whatever. I just think that if he is to be the manager, we'll wait and see. Don't want that rubbish, said Liam. Anthony Joseph update. Is there? Now there we go. Well, I should have broke it as an exclusive last night, shouldn't I? When we started speaking about it last night. As emerged as a candidate. I don't think he's just a candidate. I think he's I mean, I gave you all everything that I thought the reason for him getting it. When you look at what he's won in America, how far he took them in the Champions League, the North American Champions League. We'll wait and see. And I said last night, it all comes down to timing. All the other managers, the timing's not right for them. But the timing's right for this guy, and that's what could make it happen. You've got to remember as well, he is also contracted to the club. But there could be a clause in his contract to get him out the contract during and the once the season's over. But he is still contracted for the club. He signed a new extension with the club last year. So it may not be a cheap option for Celtic. They still might have to pay a couple of million to get him out his contract. They're not getting the guy for absolutely nothing. They're not getting Wilfried Nancy for absolutely nothing, that's for sure. And the fact that he's French, he's got a lot of contacts in France, North America. I'm looking at all the positives. You know, we could start picking out players. We could start picking out, if we start picking out the next Odsonne Edouard because of his connections in France. You know, the next Moussa Dembélés again. If we start bringing players like that again to the club, people will soon change their mind. People will soon change their minds to him getting the job. What has he won as manager? Peter King, go look it up. He has won the Canadian, he's a Canadian Cup winner, and he's the MSL Cup champion. Won the MSL 22, 23, 21, 2021, he won the Canadian Cup with Montreal. And he also took Columbus Crew to the later stages of the North American Champions League. People said, what's Ange Postecoglou won? Oh, fucking big deal. He won the league in China. Ooh. Do you know what I mean? It's just the exact same as the negativity that we had before when Ange was there. When we get the new manager, he might not want him. If he does ask him to come back. I love it how nobody believes a word that I say until the mainstream media starts talking about it. No, fuck that, wait for Knudsen. Knudsen's not going to take the job. If Ajax come calling, he's going to Ajax. I tell you. Can't he wait? Can't he wait? Ange will be sacked by Christmas, remember? Yep. A lot of the mainstream media run with the story that Ange would be sacked by Christmas. And I reckon that if it is, like I suggested last night, if it is Wilfried Nancy, because of all the reasons I gave last night, I'm not going over them tonight again. I think that he will go down as a manager that plays better football than Ange Postecoglou. He plays a 3-4-2-1 formation. Spoke about that a lot last night, how it would suit Celtic. I've said that in the SPFL, Celtic should be going 3 at the back. I didn't think about 4 sitting in the midfield, and then a 2 and then a 1. I maybe thought a 3-5-2 or a 3 something else. But in the European context, that mixes it up big time. Because you're getting a lot of teams playing 4-2-3-1. If you play 3-4-2-1, it's giving us a bit of domination in midfield. And I think he could be the manager, an unknown quantity. Celtic have been good at that over the last, well, not really with Brendan Rodgers, but they were good with it with Ange. He was an unknown quantity to European football, to the football know-alls in the UK. Nobody knows about Wilfried Nancy, but I can guarantee you if he comes in and he wins the treble this year with Celtic, he gets us into the Champions League. If he comes in and he does what not many other managers have done over the years, and that is get us to qualify for the Champions League through the playoffs, he will instantly become God-like status within our fan base. I will say that now before he signs for the club, if he signs for the club. But if he does that next summer, he will become godlike within the fan base. Mark my word for it. And I've just got a feeling about this one. Got a feeling about it. But Celtic have to retain some kind of Celtic connection to the backroom staff, with Sean Maloney going back to his job as loans manager. Should Celtic keep Mark Fotheringham at the club? And there's 193 votes. 88% say yes, 12% say no. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. Absolutely mad. Lorna, Jewish. Martinez. Now, Martinez is too late. Martinez won't be coming until... People just throw out names and think that that's what it's going to be. If you think about timings. Well, Pope, Saint-like, sorry. Where is he? Where's the Pope? I would say saint-like, sorry. Maybe not godlike, that's maybe a bit much. I'll say few Our Fathers after the show, if that's okay with you. No chances of winning the treble with that team, Baz. We'll be lucky to beat St Mirren in the final. Oh, you have little faith. Come on, look at the goals that we're scoring now. The squad are still a good squad. This squad battles through till January, and then Celtic can go out and spend. But I expect Celtic to bring in at least a minimum of 6 players in January. A minimum of 6 players in January to make this team better, to get the team over the line. We'll beat St Mirren. Their bubbles burst. St Mirren's bubbles completely burst. Seemingly they played absolute rank rotten at the weekend. What can a new manager do with an injury-ravaged squad? They can hobble over the line in the cup final, and they can make it to the end of the year without too much damage, and then, mate, they accepted a fat Australian Greek with no European experience. Come on. They accepted the fat Australian Greek. That's a bit much, saying, will Celtic fans accept a black manager with no European experience? What a ridiculous comment. Honestly. Fotheringham's like Bruni in a way. He is like Bruni, except he's got a bit more managerial experience than Scott Brown. Scott Brown's still learning his trade. It's where Fotheringham's made the mistakes on his own. He's learnt for good coaches. Bruni went straight into taking responsibility for everything because that's the way that he wants to learn. So for me, Fozzie to be at Celtic, I mean, a lot of people were saying, get Scott Brown as number 2. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. But what about, fucking wait a minute. Fozzie's a nut job. But he's Celtic. And you could just think, you know, and maybe a nice little chat for Martin O'Neill, you know, and look what he's done with the team. Him and Maloney. Just saying. You never know. You never know. It's a funny old game. The French boy is an unknown. Better for us to get him in. I think so. Don't piss off the Pope. Don't piss off the Pope. Slain on Saturday. You just grabbed a guy for fucking ice hockey land. Jesus God. St Mirren are the team. Best team in Mirren. Just shouldn't really read. I mentioned Martinez 2 weeks ago, Baz, but no one listened. Martinez is not going to get the job. Roberto Martinez will not be available until the summer. It's too late then. Too late. Celtic wants someone in before December. Waiting on Martinez to come in the summer is, you could wave bye-bye to this. This board cannot allow Celtic not to qualify for the Champions League next season. It would be financial suicide for the club. It's not going to be financial suicide, but it's a financial hit that they cannot afford to take if we go 2 seasons without Champions League money. Because there is a danger. There is a severe danger that Rangers could qualify for the Champions League. And I said last summer, We're only 2 seasons away from Rangers being on a similar financial footing to Celtic with their new owners. If they get Champions League money 2 years in a row, all the success we've had over the years, all the gains that we've had over the years, they will have caught up quite easily within a 2-year period. Celtic need to get a manager in now so that he can get settled, so that he can have the next window and he's ready for the Champions League. And the board know that. The board know that. This is a gamble they cannot take. It's a gamble they know they cannot take. They cannot wait that long. They cannot go down the same road as they went before when they tried to get a certain gentleman that ended up saying no to them. They do not have that luxury of waiting. They've made that mistake before. And it cost us that summer. It cost us that summer. And, do you know, European football was a disaster. Complete disaster. Celtic cannot live. They can live without it, but you'll take a massive hit in wages. The wages will come down. The standard, the player that we're bringing in will come away down. And if you want to keep the club going forward, we're going to have to get it in. The manager quick. 6 cheap players. I don't think they'll be cheap. Celtic will spend, I reckon Celtic will spend upwards of 20 million this summer, this coming window. 20 million. Yeah, that was a crazy comment. Absolutely crazy comment. You know what? Tony Bloom is investing in Hearts. Giving them Jamestown Analytics. Yeah, and I hope they do make it more exciting. Oh, I'm just. Fozzie's Bruni. Elite managers turning us down. Scottish football. What elite managers? That's a crazy comment. What elite managers are turning us down? I don't think anyone's been offered the job. I don't think that anyone has had a formal approach by Dermot Desmond and said, do you want the job? I mean, even the fucking chat that's going around about Ange Postecoglou, it's coming from someone else. It's not coming from Ange. And it's his perspective of what Ange would do. It's not what Ange has actually said to him. So there's no one turned down the job. Do you know what I mean? That's just crazy chat. You know? We mentioned the Bengals third. Feels like another John Barnes. Doesn't feel like another John Barnes. Not a chance. John Barnes hadn't had a managerial job or an assistant manager's job before he got the Celtic job. That's why Kenny Dalglish was brought in with him as a safety net. And it was called the Dream Team. This guy's won stuff. He's respected in the game. Do you know? But it's always the same. When you don't know about someone, you just go straight in with the negative connotations. But that's the way that we all are. And some of us right now can just look beyond and analyse things just a little bit better. Right, I'm going to jump through these comments. I'm not staying on too long tonight because my throat. Kenny Dalglish hid behind Barnes in reality though. Yeah, he did. He did that. Right. That is me done and dusted for this evening. We did do a poll. There's been over 228 votes. Should Celtic keep Mark Fotheringham at the club? 85% say yes, 15% say no. And on that note, we shall end the poll for this evening. Thank you to everyone who voted. There's been over 1,200 people on the live tonight. Make sure that you join in the live tomorrow morning. I'm going to give you some footage of Jota and tell you where he's been recently, because he came back on a flight today. That's all I'm going to tell you. And on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are all around the world.